Tonight's episode is called What Are You Waiting On? Because last time I ended the episode with a question about what were you waiting on? And it's not because you don't know what you want or you don't know what the next step is. It's that somewhere between clarity and action, we tend to just get stuck. And so I just want to ask the question again, what are you waiting on? And maybe, like myself, you're waiting for confidence. Some are waiting for more money. Some of us are waiting for people to affirm our idea, tell us that it's great. And for others, you're waiting for just life to just kind of calm down. Or maybe you're waiting for a sign. And then for a lot of us, we wait because starting is scary. And if any of those things are you, then welcome to the club. Because I don't know anyone who's ever stood on the edge of changing their life and thought, hey, this is great. This feels really, really comfortable. Because it doesn't. Because every beginning asks something of us. It asks us to leave behind what's familiar. Even when what's familiar may feel good or be good to us. Have you ever noticed how we can become comfortable being uncomfortable? We'll stay in jobs that we hate because they're predictable, they pay the rent. We'll stay in relationships that we have no business being in, they've long expired because at least we know what to expect. We'll stay quiet because speaking up might change the trajectory of our lives. The familiar has a pull on us because sometimes we stay where we are because at least we know where we are. But here's something I've learned, that most of us aren't waiting because we don't know what to do. We're waiting because we want to eliminate risk. We want guarantees. We want certainty. You're looking at her. We want to know that when we take that first step, that everything is going to work out. But unfortunately, life doesn't make those kind of promises. Because you don't know if that new job will be everything you hoped it will be. You don't know if writing that book will ever lead anywhere. You don't know if starting over will ever be worth it. But here's what you also don't know. You don't know what happens if you never try. And that's the part that we rarely think about. Because we'll spend a lot of time asking, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? That we never ask, well, what if it doesn't? What if you don't fail? What if that opportunity that you've been praying for is waiting on you to fill out the application? What if that friendship you've been longing for just needs that one conversation? What if your future changes because of one decision that you make this week? Because we tend to imagine transformation as one big giant leap. But that's almost never how it happens. Because our lives, they change in inches, not miles. It always begins with one page being written, one class that we take, one phone call, one apology, one prayer, one honest conversation. A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to meet an incredible couple, and many of you know them, and I almost talked myself out of it. Matter of fact, I had talked myself out of it. I told them I wasn't coming because I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I belonged in the room. I didn't think I had anything of substance to offer, and every excuse I made seemed reasonable to me. They emailed me back and said, look, are you sure? Are you certain? And I changed my mind. I went anyway. And now that I look back, I can't imagine my life without them in it. I can't imagine the friendships that I've built because of that one introduction. The conversations that we've shared, the love that they've shown me and I've shown them, and the people that I've met just because our paths crossed. A lot of y'all are in here tonight. But none of that would have happened if I had let fear make the decision for me. Because my life didn't change because I made one giant step. It changed because I made one small step into a restaurant. So never underestimate what can happen on the other side of one courageous decision. Which leads me to this other point. Just stop waiting until you're ready. Because ready, that's a moving target. And the more you chase it, the further away it gets. Because confidence usually doesn't come before action. Confidence grows because of action. Because the first video, it won't be your best. The first chapter won't be your best. The first workout won't be your best. And that's all okay. Because we're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to begin. And beginnings, they're always going to be messy. But then we fall into another trap. We live as though life works according to this formula. Have, do, be. We tell ourselves that if I just have the degree, if I just have more money, if I just had more experience, if I just have the right connections, then I can do the things that I've always wanted to do. But eventually, after having and doing, then I'll become the person that I'm supposed to be. But I want to thank Lady Sharice Carter, who changed my perspective on this. Because life really doesn't work that way. We've been living that backwards. The order really is to be, do, have. Be the person. Choosing integrity before success. Choosing courage before certainty. Choosing faithfulness before the applause. Choosing kindness before we're ever even recognized. Because who we are, it always shapes what you do. And what you consistently do eventually shapes what you have. Because if you wait until you have everything before you do so that you can become who you're meant to be, you will keep waiting forever. You will never begin. Because the first step is never about getting more. The first step is always about becoming more. One of my favorite sayings is that you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You don't need the whole plan. As a matter of fact, you will never get the whole plan. All you need is the next right decision. That's all. So maybe today your next step is making the phone call that you've been avoiding. Maybe it's filling out the application that's been sitting on your desk. Maybe it's forgiving yourself. Maybe it's admitting that you need help. Maybe it's finally believing that your life can be different than it is today. And not because it'll happen overnight, but because every new chapter begins with one sentence. Every journey begins with just one step. Every dream with one decision. And maybe, just maybe, the life you've been waiting on, it's not you waiting on it. The life you've been waiting for has been waiting on you. So let me ask you one last time. What are you waiting on? Not tomorrow, not next month, but today. What's just one thing that you can do before this day is over that moves you towards the life that you say you want? Well, just do that. Then do one thing tomorrow, and then the day after that, and the day after that. And before long, you'll look back and realize that your life didn't change because of one giant moment. It changed because you decided to stop waiting. And just like that, I just looked at my watch. It's been 10 minutes. Thank y'all for joining on tonight. I appreciate it. Love the comments. I saw some of them. I didn't see them all. But waiting waiting can be very frustrating. Because a lot of times we think that that be, do, have, or have and do and be, that whole thing blew my mind the first time I heard it, because that is what we do. Is that we say, hey, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I gotta have this, and then I can go do that, and then I can be that. But it's the exact opposite. That if you just be who you have been called to be, then you can do all the things you've been called to do, and then you can have everything that God promised you that you can have. And that the longer you wait, it's the longer we make the journey longer, because we choose to wait. And sometimes we paralyze ourselves through analysis. I know that is my major weakness, is I will overthink a thing to death until the moment has passed, and it's hard to catch up to the moment once the moment gets by you. And so I would encourage you all on tonight that whatever it is, go after it. What are you waiting on? You know, you're never going to get everybody to affirm you. You are never going to get everybody to think that what you're about to do is the greatest thing that's ever been done. But you just have to put yourself out there. And it may work, it may not. But even if it doesn't work, you'll have lessons. You'll have experience. And experience sometimes is half the journey. Because as we walk this journey, that's what we're gaining. We're gaining experience so that when we run into that situation again, we'll know how to better handle it. And that's what life is all about. Life is about learning, ever learning. And so as I'm on this journey myself, there are times that I talk myself out of a lot of things. But here lately, I've talked myself into a lot of things. I almost talked myself out of doing this live. But then I said to myself, well, no, Mary, you already posted the date and time and everything else. And so now you got to do it regardless. And so sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to press your way, and you'll be rewarded for that. Life will always reward people that go all the way out for what they want. You will always be rewarded. Don't ever think you won't. It may not be, thank you, Shannon. It may not be quick, but this is not a sprint. Life is a marathon. And the word tells us that we just run the race set before us. So you run your own race. You know, this is your life, and you live it according to how you feel and the decisions that you make for your own life. And so it's your race. And so you run your own race, and don't get caught looking at other people's lives. It may seem like people are way, way ahead of you. And I used to have this huge problem. I always compared myself to other people, and I was like, well, maybe I'm behind because they're so much further along. But no, you're not behind. You are right where you're supposed to be. You just got to do the things you got to do in order to progress yourself. And it doesn't matter how fast or slow you're moving. The finish line is always the same for all of us. We're all just trying to make it to destiny and purpose. So thank y'all for joining me on tonight. Thank y'all for the love. Thank y'all for the hearts. Thank you, Mame. I love you, dear heart. Thank you, thank you. Kaleido Braids, I see you out there. It's a young lady that does my hair. She's a beast. Look her up if you need that hair braided. Thank you, Shan. Twan Boogie, thank you. Hello, how are you, dear? You're very welcome. Not that Karen. God bless y'all. Hey, Yvonne. The next episode, we're going to start a whole new series. It's called The Soundtrack of Our Lives. And so I've picked out like maybe 10 or 12 songs that kind of changed my life, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about those songs and how they relate to life itself. Yes, she does, Shannon. Every time. And so that'll be the next one. And so that series will last a little longer, so I'll probably go live a couple of times with that song. Thank you guys for joining us on tonight. If you guys have questions or comments, come on. We got time. It was just 10 minutes. Thank y'all for liking the live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I do so appreciate it. How do you break the overthinking? That's a great question, DeWitt. One of my mentors told me when I was writing my very first book, because it was taking me forever because I was overthinking it all. And she said, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And it really only comes down to one small thing at a time. And so as we begin, whatever you're beginning, you have to think of it in that term. It's just one thing today. One thing. Y'all, my daddy is in here. Hi, Pops. Thank you. It's just one thing. And I catch myself all the time overthinking and thinking about, well, what if this goes wrong? And what if I do that and it goes wrong? And that goes wrong, and this goes wrong, and that. You will worry yourself sick, and your project will never get done because you'll be stuck worrying about what if. And at some point, you have to just make up in your mind that, hey, I'm making just one step. And so as in terms of like writing a book, my mentor was like, you're sitting around here talking about pages and chapters. I'm just trying to get you to write 3 words. Just put 3 words on the page a day. And, 3 words will turn into a sentence, that'll turn into a paragraph, that'll turn into a whole chapter. One day I'll take a picture of all the notebooks of outlines I had for the first book. And I had months and months of outlines, just writing, rewriting outlines, until one day I just sat down and wrote the first chapter. And actually the first chapter of the book was the very first podcast I did years ago. And so you just have to start. You have to start somewhere. Yes, our mind is our worst enemy because we are the hardest on ourselves because we want it to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect to start. You edit yourself along the way. And I think that that's where a lot of us get stuck, is that we are trying to make it perfect right from the beginning when it's never going to be that way. Because you need the experience. You need something not to go right so that as we continue on the journey, we can get it right. You edit along the way. You don't have to stop and edit from the beginning to make it perfect. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect way to start it. There's a lot of us overthink and we halt ourselves because we're always waiting for perfect. And that is never going to be. Never going to be. What we jump ourselves for, Toya, are things that other people go, girl, you was upset about that. You were worried about that? No, that was perfect. That was great. And we're like, no, it wasn't. And everybody else around us like, yeah, it was. It was the greatest thing I ever did. I've ever seen, ever heard. The greatest set of braids I've ever seen put in somebody's head. But we think it's horrible because we want things to be perfect. But perfect is not attainable. You just need to start. It does not have to be perfect at the beginning. The beginning is always going to be messy because we're dealing with uncertainty. Because we don't know how it's going to work out. We don't know. Sometimes you can do everything correctly and it still not work. And that's okay. It really is. It really is okay. Because sometimes, they always say that necessity is the mother of invention. There have been plenty of things that were started out one way and ended up pivoting to something else. So, Ben Franklin was not looking to, discover electricity. It just happened. Hey, Sandlin, good to see you. Sandlin, I enjoy your TikTok videos, dear heart. And so as we think about the last 3 episodes, what do you want? And, oh man, I forgot the other one, but I definitely want to say this about what do you want? That is a very hard question to ask yourself. That is not a question that you can answer in a day or two. That's a question that you really have to sit down and really contemplate and ask yourself, what do I want? And it's not just in terms of your career, but it's in terms of your life in general. What do you want from your finances? What do you want from your spiritual life? What do you want from your relationships? What do you want from your career? It encompasses the entirety of your life. And when I asked myself that question, I walked around a little depressed because I didn't know what I wanted. But then I also realized that's why I was doing this and doing that and over here and over there. Because when you don't have a clear direction, any road will do. Every road will look great. Everything will have all kind of greatness and possibility to it. But once you decide what it is that you want from your life, then anything that does not move you towards that is just a waste of your time. It's a waste of your time. So whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to write a book, well, if somebody asks you, hey, would you like to, work triple overtime? Well, no, because if I'm working triple overtime, I can't write the book. The book never gets written. Once you start lumping things onto your plate, deciding what you really want helps you to unload your plate so that you can make room for the things that are going to get you to where you want to be. And so the other episode, the now what, after you make that decision, then you got to draw up a plan, because you need a plan. You cannot go through life without having a plan. And now, do our plans sometimes get derailed? Yes, that's just life. They're going to get derailed. But the plan is always flexible. But if you have no plan, then you will be tossed. Life will beat you up. Life will throw you up against the wall and leave you. But when you have a plan, when you have a destination, then you will always be able to bring yourself back to your destination, no matter what life throws at you. But don't go out here without a plan. But leave your plan flexible, because life's, and you know how that goes. All right, y'all, any more questions, comments? Because it is a school night. I thank you guys for joining me on tonight. Thank you, Shannon, for modding for me on tonight. I appreciate you, dear heart. Shannon is my girl. We go back all the way, 3 years now, I think. Yeah, it feels like 50, but it's just been 3. Thank you all so much for joining me on tonight. This, I will stick this recording. It'll be on my YouTube page. I will put the link in my bio for the YouTube page, and you can go back and access it there. And then I'm going to try to upload it to Spotify. I'll see how all that works to get it uploaded to my regular page on Spotify and release it. But I thank you guys so much for joining me on tonight. Thank you, Mame, Shannon, DeWitt, Joan. Thank you so much. Thanks to my pops for joining in. He's my biggest fan, so I thank him on tonight. And Toya, thank you so much for joining, dear heart. And so until the next time, y'all, you got time? It was just 10 minutes. Love y'all.